Mr. Timi Frank is joining us on this, and we're having the conversation. And welcome to Voice of the People 90.3 Radio, Mr. Timi Frank. God bless you. Thank you so much for your time, for coming. And thank you for, constantly speaking up as regards, the state of play in Nigeria. Mr. Timi Frank, I would like you to review for me what is happening as we speak. What's your take on governance? Because very soon we'll be getting to the first 100 days of this administration. A lot of people say, yes, the new leader has done some good things. Some they are not happy about. Take, for instance, they said he gave palliatives and all of that. So what's your state? What's your reaction to the state of play of things in Nigeria as we speak today?
Well, thank you very much, Rufai, for this opportunity given to me.
Bless you.
On this platform.
Yeah.
To air my views and the popular views of the Nigerian people.
Yeah.
I can tell you clearly, the first 100 days of Bola Tinubu in Nigeria is 100 days of nightmare, 100 days of disappointment, and 100 days of political rascality and impunity in the country, and 100 days of a dictatorship. Yes, he must have done maybe one or two things that would have been nice, that would have been good, but the timing of taking those decisions without any preparations, Nigerians are not happy about it, especially with the hardship that is existing today in the country. The people of Nigeria are suffering, but the looters are celebrating. So I think 100 days of Bola Tinubu's achievement is 100 days of celebrating corruption, is 100 days of celebrating looting. For example, look at the kind of ministers. For the first time, we have 48 ministers. If it was 48 ministers with capacity and experience, Nigerians do not even complain, but most of them, in the cabinet where you see you have over 9 governors for the first time. 9 former governors today are ministers in this cabinet. Go and check the record.
Okay, a lot of people are going to argue with you, and I've seen some of the arguments, and the arguments are saying, prove to us why you call him, a dictatorship. Take, for instance, they will argue with you that when Nigerians complained that price of petrol was going high, he said there will be no more price increases. That he listened to Nigeria. A lot of people will also argue with you. As you talk about the ministers not having experience, they said, but we saw the profile of all of these people, And they said every state was represented. Take, for instance, they say from your state, people like Heineken Lokobri was represented and the likes. They say, are you going to say the likes of Party are not grounded enough and all of that? Corruption, what's your proof as regards that? That's what a lot of people are asking. And, I just have to balance out this conversation. That's why let's have a robust one. What do you say to all this?
Well, like I said, a few of the ministers, not all, does not have capacity or experience. Most of them are not even known to the national scene, to the national politics of our country. Clearly, that is the assessment of most Nigerians. And again, when we talk of corruption, the corruption is everywhere. That most of the people under Bola Tinubu's cabinet, most of them are also facing EFCC cases. We know. We knew of the governor who had issue in the case of corruption, who the former chairman of EFCC. But today he's a minister. So, the expectations of Nigerians, they expected, with the way Bola Tinubu was, campaigning, sweet-talking Nigerians when he was looking for this presidency. He came up with a strategy of, let Nigerian let the poor breathe. So Nigerians expected, they were going to expect more young people in his cabinet. Nigerians expected they were going to have more technocrats with experience. Nigerians expected we were going to have the likes and experience of capacity of people like Okonjo-Iweala in the past that we brought in from World Bank, IMF, WHO, and every part of the international organization to come and, assist the government.
But they'll tell you that we have a Professor Pate that came from Gavi, for instance. They'll tell you that we have a Bosun Tijani, the CC Hub, internationally recognized tech person, and all of that. They'll tell you, we've got a Wale Edun, investment banker, and all of that. They'll tell you we have XYZ everywhere. We have a former central bank executive director in the frame of Mr. Adelabu. They'll say, so are these people not technocrats enough?
Of 48 ministers, 48, if you count 1 to 5, in a country where we believe that a lot of things have gone wrong with the economy, I believe you should have almost have out of that 48, even if you wanted to. For example, Nigerians were expecting that maybe half of his cabinet would have been technocrats. But today, that is not happening. You only count a few names. I was expecting you should have counted up to maybe 10 to 15 names.
But
in his cabinet that are technocrats.
We also have the likes of Lateef Fagbemi. You get?
Well,
so we are, you laughed. So we also
well, for me, this is not even the time to talk about who we have and who we did not have. But I will tell you clearly, this is the worst list of ministers in the history of Nigeria. I think even the man in question, if you ask Bola Tinubu to mention the names of his 48 ministers one by one, I can tell you clearly he doesn't even know their names. Because most of the people in this list are in this position. The allegations are out there. We've seen it. People are talking about it. That some of these positions were for sale. And that is why you can see that the presidency could not release the full list at the time to the Senate for clearance. This is the first time we saw half and half lists being submitted. So that's to tell you they were not prepared. That's to tell you there were discussions upon who will be there, who will not be there. Names were put today, in the morning, in the afternoons. Those names that are there is being removed. For God's sake, this was just a mere embarrassment.
Okay.
This is not what we expected.
Okay, Mr.
The system of today is not prepared.
Mr. Timi Frank, let's talk about the economy. Some of the supporters of the president will argue that, yes, he's removed subsidy that has been draining our purse all this while. We're spending 10 billion on subsidy. It was draining our purse. Then he announced subsidy gone. People clamor for palliatives. They said he's also putting palliatives. All right? They said people clamor. They said some people have talked about the unification of the currency. He has also unified the currency. All these things he said he's going to do during his campaign. So they are asking, what is the complaint now?
My brother, the complaint is a lot.
Tell me about it.
We can go on and on. We can go on and on to identify the complaints. But let me tell you clearly, what improvement are we talking about? Ask yourself one question. There was the dollar as at the time it took over. Today, dollar is about 9 something in our country. This is the highest in the history of Nigeria that we've seen. I believe as at the time it took over office, dollar should be about maybe 600 and something if I'm not mistaken. But today it's 9 something. Is that improvement of our economy? First of all, which subsidy are we talking about? Removal of anything called subsidy is just a scam. It's a scam. Yes, before today, year in, year out, every government comes with subsidy, subsidy, subsidy. And Nigerians agree, okay, if there is even anything like subsidy, okay, we are ready and prepared for that government to remove subsidy. But before you do that, put up the necessary structure for the country. Make our refineries to work. Make the transport system to work. Make, every major sector that has to do or related with the economy to work. Then go ahead and remove the subsidy. I won't tell you like, even my own presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, that I supported, he made it very clear that when he became president, he was going to remove subsidy. But he made it clear again that what I'm going to do it with in phases.